Hello, everybody. This is the No Cap recap of the new Oak Island Companion Show series Tales from Oak Island, Season 1, Episode 6, called HEDDEN'S Hunt. Originally aired January 21st, 2025. I recap the main show late Tuesday nights and this show a day or two later. There's a link to my Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Let's get into it. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Previously, on the Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 230 years. Since acquiring property on Oak Island in 2006, Rick and Marty Lagina have done numerous excavations in attempts to find the elusive treasure. They and their team have also studied attempts by previous searchers, including the Hedden shaft. Built by Gilbert Hedden in the 1930s in the spot indicated by Frederick Blair as the original Money Pit shaft. The Hedden shaft location is shown here. South of the garden shaft, and its east end is just north of the chapel shaft, indicated by the square, which includes the H8 caisson location. The image is not aligned to the north. The bottom of the rectangle and square are facing approximately mostly east towards Smith's Cove and a little to the south. In 2015, the Laginas excavated the Hedden shaft in hopes that it would provide clues to the location of the original Money Pit shaft. That was 10 years prior to the release of this Tales of Oak Island episode and this recap. And you can see how much more green the Money Pit area was back then. In 1935, after reading a New York Times article about the treasure search, Hedden purchased the eastern end of the island, shown shaded green here, for $5,000. The Hedden shaft measured 12 feet wide by 24 feet long and was dug to a depth of 124 feet. At the bottom, they drilled horizontally and hit 30 inches of wood that indicated a man-made structure. This image proposes that the structure contained the chapel vault. In 1938, Gilbert Hedden abandoned the search due to lack of funds, but because of the wood found so near the Hedden shaft and the gold flakes and parchment brought up on the drill in 1897 when Frederick Blair's driller, William Chappell, discovered the vault that would bear his name, also nearby. Other searchers believed he got very close to finding the treasure. The Hedden shaft would eventually be filled in by other searchers and its exact location lost, but the Laginas found the top of an exterior wall and then uncovered more of it. Gilbert Hedden also investigated several theories. Also in 2015, Marty Lagina met with a researcher that told him Hedden came across this fictionalized story of pirate Captain Kidd, called Captain Kidd and his Skeleton Island. The book included a map that looks like Oak Island. Kidd was a privateer licensed by the British government to be a pirate targeting other nations. He eventually went rogue, attacking even British ships. A warrant for arrest was issued. Kidd was caught and sentenced to death. He was executed by hanging on May 23rd, 1701. During his last days, he told that he had hidden treasure off the coast of New York. It was not on this show, but on the main show and from several other sources. He also said that he had buried treasure east of Boston. Oak Island is northeast of Boston. The map in the book says that north is down. Flipping it makes it look even more like Oak Island. The author said the map was acquired from a private collector. Hedden thought it was too much of a coincidence to not be Oak Island, so he commissioned a detailed geographic survey. He wanted the survey done to see what alignments existed between drilled stones found in the Money Pit area and Smith's Cove, as well as the stone triangle on the south shore, which points directly to the Money Pit area the Laginas have been digging in the most. This is a recreation of it. The actual stone triangle was a little more south and was lost due to erosion. This shot of it was taken from early video camera footage of the real thing. Hedden looked for other clues or markers on the island as well. His team discovered a large cache of glass bottles with traces of mercury in them near Jowdrey's Cove. As fate or History Channel timing would have it, due to the discovery of a vault-like structure in the swamp on Lot 10 on the main show, the team's focus is turning to searcher Anthony Graves, as his house was built close to that vault location. The next new main show episode is called Graves Concerns. The mercury led Hedden down the path of one of the most controversial theories. 17th century nobleman and scientist Sir Francis Bacon. Bacon developed a method of using mercury to protect documents. He was also a sponsor of William Shakespeare. Some people even think that Bacon himself wrote all of the things attributed to William Shakespeare. The theory is that original or maybe even unpublished Shakespeare writings are buried on Oak Island. In 1607, Bacon was named the Solicitor General by the King, and in 1610 was charged with establishing... Take two. In 1607, Bacon was named the Solicitor General by the King, and in 1610 was charged with establishing a colony in Nova Scotia. Bacon eventually developed political enemies and was charged with corruption and jailed. If he knew that might happen, it's possible he would want to hide things that were valuable to him. In 1897, driller William Chappell brought up his bit and found gold flakes in this piece of parchment from deep in the Money Pit area. The Bacon theory could be one explanation. Rolling Stone Oak Island story author Randall Sullivan visited the Laginas on Oak Island years ago and told them of some Bacon writings about building a perpetual spring involving a pit on the seashore and a system of tunnels. "15 years after Hedden left the island, it was still on his mind because he mentioned it in a letter to his lawyers. The ever-present Baconian Shakespeare controversy and is an interesting angle and could be worth further exploration." In 2017, Jack Begley found leather and parchment in Money Pit area spoils. They were scientifically determined to have been connected to create bookbinding. Gilbert Hedden had heard the tale of a large engraved boulder on the shore that was eventually blown up since it was too big to move by hand. There was no treasure found under it. Hedden searched for remaining pieces of the large boulder and recovered some of them, including the HO stone. He could not figure out what the engravings meant, but they would eventually be recognized as symbols used by the Knights Templar, which is one of the more popular theories. That order gained more and more wealth and influence, and eventually was owed a lot of money by the King of France, who conspired with the Pope, who probably didn't like the amount of power they had, to charge the Knights Templar with heresy and disband them. The theory is that they knew bad times were coming and sought to hide their wealth in the New World. Remember, the Lagina team have traveled to various sites in Europe and have found these symbols at most of them. In an Italy church, they found the letters HIC on a column, and HIC means here. Alex Lagina drew HIC on his phone in blue and added to it in white to make it match the HO stone. The cross with the 4 dots stands for the Knights Templar, and the O with the dot in it is an early alchemical symbol for gold. So it could mean Templar, gold, here. Some suspect that Gilbert Hedden actually knew that because he was a Freemason, and many believe that they evolved from the Knights Templar. They use many of the same symbols and rituals. Almost every searcher group has had at least one Freemason in their ranks. The current group has Charles Barkhouse and diver Tony Sampson. Doug Kroll says that it should be understandable that Masons would be interested because their symbols are all over the island, including the man-made triangle-shaped swamp with the all-seeing eye design, which is also on the United States dollar bill. When Hedden abandoned the search due to financial issues, he subleased his treasure search rights and all structures and research to fellow Freemason, Professor Alexander Hamilton, best known for detailed investigation and mapping of the tunnels. Professor Hamilton was also a friend of fellow Freemason and eventual U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a member of a 1909 searcher group. Hedden and Hamilton both sent reports to FDR concerning what was happening on the island. Since finding the Hedden shaft, the Lagina team has done many digs near it, and in 2020, this rosehead spike that could date back to the 1600s was found in Money Pit area dig spoils. It has cement on it, which was also reported as covering the chapel vault when discovered by drilling into it. Rick says that Gilbert Hedden was incredibly inventive in his approaches, and the team has tremendous respect for him as a human being and for his part in the search. In the main show, as of the latest episode, January 21st, 2025, the team is again drilling to determine the best location for caissons, and I would assume that at least one will be very near or in the Hedden shaft rectangle. Next time on an all-new The Curse of Oak Island episode called Graves Concerns, airing January 28, 2025, as the Fellowship uncovers more of the mysterious structure in the swamp, artifacts within it suggest it could be a vault with a compelling history. And on February 28th, 2025, another all-new episode called Best Caisson Scenario. The evidence is building, and the team believes they are finally zeroing in on the elusive treasure vault. With confidence at an all-time high, the Fellowship prepares to retrieve it as they call in the caissons. I'll be continuing no-cap recaps of The Curse of Oak Island late Tuesday nights as the new episodes air, and this show, Tales from Oak Island, a day or two later. My Oak Island playlist and Skinwalker Ranch playlist are linked on this screen. The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch seasons 1 and 5 are done, and I'm working on seasons 2 through 4. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Sempre avanti.